So we're here with two of the leads from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the first production in the 2012-2013 Heart House season. Why don't we start with you guys introducing yourselves?
Sure. I'm Andrew Knowlton, and I'll be playing Guildenstern.
And I am Andrew Knowlton, and I will be playing Guildenstern. Sorry. He is Andrew Knowlton. I am Jim Armstrong. He is playing Guildenstern. I am playing Rosencrantz.
Yes.
The name of the play is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
I think it's going to work well for us.
I hope so.
Happy endings all around.
Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about your characters?
Yeah, sure. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are, of course, the two smallest characters in Hamlet. I think they show up in maybe 5 scenes there, so very, very big characters. And the premise of this play is that instead of following Hamlet, you follow Rosencrantz and Guildenstern over the same course of events. That being said, it is much more theater of the absurd style than Hamlet would be. So these characters are sort of ambiguous. They kind of come out from nowhere, not really knowing a lot at the beginning. In terms of the difference between us, I would say Guildenstern's probably a little more analytical. He's a thinker. He likes to kind of step back from the action and observe what's going on and kind of discover what's going out and pull pieces of information from what he can see.
Rosencrantz on the other side is less of a thinker, would you say? Less.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but some people have told me that he is less of a thinker, and I have no reason to doubt them because they seem like honest, good folk who are mean. No, Rosencrantz is more of a doer. Whenever anything comes up, Rosencrantz wants to get straight to the action, and when, as is frequently the case, there's not immediately an action, it creates a lot of internal conflict for Rosencrantz, where he doesn't like all the sitting around and not doing anything. There's a great scene where Guildenstern is trying to figure out what way is south by determining if the sun is here, and if the time is this, then this, whereas if the sun is this, then if the time is this, then this. And Rosencrantz is just, why don't we just, go take a look at the sun? Why don't we take a look at the clock?
Pragmatism.
Yeah, that's who Rosencrantz is. He just wants to do things. You know that there is the joke that Rosencrantz is the dumb one of the two. That label can be put on him pretty easily, but I don't see it quite that way. He's smart in different ways. If you listen to the language he uses, he's very clearly well educated, and there are quite a few times where there is the sort of idiot savant moment in Rosencrantz.
Yeah.
Early on, we're having trouble remembering why it is that we're here, and Guildenstern discovers success in prompting Rosencrantz, because all of a sudden, I'll go from talking about my toenails to, oh yeah, there was a messenger, and he came in here, and he did this, and he did this, and now we did this, and then we did this, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And then it's gone as quickly as it brought.
Yes.
So Jim, would you say you relate to Rosencrantz? You're playing Rosencrantz, right?
I would say that. I think we make the jokes of the dumb one and the one who's one step behind, but Rosencrantz is simply, he's operating on a different level, and I get that, and there'll be times when people are talking about one thing and I'm thinking another, and everything makes perfect sense to me, and I know that I'm right with it, and people will turn to me and say, Jim, what are you talking about? And I think Andrew gets to have a lot of those moments in the script.
I think that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are kind of the archetypes of who we are. They're us taken to this kind of fairy tale style of character, where we definitely, you wouldn't be cast if we didn't have some aspects that Matt saw in us that relate to the characters.
Yeah.
I think it's more of we relate to aspects of them as opposed to are similar.
So this show's a pretty popular one along with people. Why do you guys think it resonates so well?
It's clever. I mean, we talked a lot at the beginning of the process about how, there's maybe 3 or 4 actual punchlines in the play where it's like, haha, this is the joke and it's funny, and those are 3 or 4 very funny moments.
Very good.
But you can be swept into the language of it, and everything. The more you listen to the language, the more you get out of it, and it's dazzling the way Tom Stoppard uses his language.
Yeah. And I think that too, there's an element with this play of with the element of the player and the conversations that we have with him, of sort of an examination of theater as a craft, and seeing what the player and his idea of what reality is versus our idea of reality, and through that conflict, it creates a play that is almost truer to life. And so I think that people can more easily relate to what's being examined. Like, we talk about death and the stage death versus real death, and there's just a lot of things that, because there is that element of analyzing the difference between a stage performance and real life, that people, when they see a stage death, can start to have that doubt in the back of their mind of like, oh yeah, this reminds me of this other thing, and it can become this greater sense on top of just the performance itself.
So you guys are also both familiar faces to Hard House Theatre's audience. Do you have any past favorite roles? Is this your new favorite?
I would say this is my new favorite. I don't. For me, a lot of my experience in Hard House has been the guy who changes his costume backstage a lot and comes on as an entirely different person. There has been a lot of, okay, so I'm playing 5 different speaking roles, but there's also a few other times when I come on and I'm also clearly a different person than any of these 5 then.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of fun in coming up with such big, extreme people that no one in the audience is distracted by that. Isn't that the guy who? No, like, what you want to do in this situation is, in an ideal world, not have anyone notice, but certainly have no one be taken out of it, because there's been a lot of creating large, very different characters, of which I'd say my favorite is probably the Mayor of London in Richard III. It's the only role I've ever played where I've been upstaged by my own hat. I would leave the play, and the first thing people would say to me after they saw it was, "That was a great hat." Oh, I mean, you were great in acting in it too, but wow, are they gonna let you keep that hat? And they did not let me keep that hat.
Doug keeps mentioning someone who played Assassin Number 3. Was that either of you?
We've probably played that in several roles.
Okay.
Yeah, we played Murderer 1 and Murderer 2 also in Richard. That was a different hat. I didn't have a hat for that.
Yeah. I think that there's been, I don't know, Doug's probably played Assassin Number 3 so many times too.
Yeah.
For me, I think my favorite past role was in Midsummer Night's Dream. I was one of the lovers, and we had a nice group of 4 there, and just the physical comedy of that was a lot of fun. Rolling all over the stage and stripping down to our underwear was a lot of fun to do.
Andrew Knowlton in his underwear. It's a good reason to see any show in Hard House.
And will that be happening in the show?
We haven't staged Act 3 yet, so it's possible.
Okay.
If there's enough email response, we could definitely persuade Matt.
You heard that, so send in your requests, people.
There may be some flashes of Jim Armstrong underwear as well. No promises, but a certain belt gag comes to mind.
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, guys, for your time, and I will let you get back to hanging out in barrels, which is where I found you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Back into the barrel.